that hubbub. Welcome in to another episode of Purusha Intuitive. We're going to look at health, well-being today via the tarot, astrology, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. I apologize. I was really sick before the holiday, so unfortunately, I'm just going to get my stuff situated here real quick. I wasn't able to upload or connect. I hope you had a fabulous holiday season. I hope you feel just surrounded by goodness. It's, astrologically, we'll talk a little bit about it today. It hasn't been the craziest. Transits have kind of quieted down. We get this opportunity to really enjoy the holiday season. Enjoy the celebrations that are around us, even though there are some things, right, that might be picking, poking, prodding at us, etc. But there's no rush. That's definitely been a theme lately in the collective. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip. That's definitely been a theme in the collective of just kind of like take your time with whatever you're dealing with. Especially those people, situations that might be triggering, provoking certain things. We've moved into Capricorn season, whoop whoop, since we last talked. Good, bad, right or wrong, I don't know. Capricorn is the energy of hard work, and we do kind of have our hard work set out in front of us. The way that the astrology is playing out is there's a cluster of planets, the Sun, Mars, Venus, that are kind of not like combating, but like resistant. Maybe that's a good word. Resistant to our intuition, what our intuition is saying. The places that we do have to kind of put in some hard work that might not seem easy on the surface, or it actually might make us shy away, is what I'm hearing for some of us, right? Like it can be something that we feel really determined behind, and then like the further we get along, it's like, I don't know about this, maybe I'm backtracking a little bit, etc. But that kind of goes back to that time component, just being easy, being gentle with yourself. These readings are meant to kind of look at how we can really honor our health, our well-being, our overall mind, body, soul connection. Ayurveda looks at that through the lens of Ayurveda. I have a master's degree in Ayurvedic medicine, and it is such a beautiful way to just honor life, essentially. Yes, it's about health and wellness and kind of keeping ourselves in a quote-unquote balanced state of mind. But it's also recognizing that there are certain life cycles, that there are ebb and flow, that there is time we need to kind of put forth action, make things happen. And then there's times that we need to rest. There's times that we need to back off of things, right? Or pay a little more attention to our health, our well-being, etc. It's kind of hard to do around the holidays. There's a lot going on, right? A lot of celebratory energy. I'm all about celebrating. Definitely enjoy yourself. You don't have to be a robot. But I kind of like that, like within moderation, right? Like sometimes if we take it too far one way or the other, it can just be a buzzkill. So let's start off with an energy cleansing just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out those places we might feel blocked, or there's certain limitations going on in our world. It's a great time to give certain things over to spirit or ask spirit certain questions. I definitely will keep my eyes on the chat. Feel free to throw questions out. I don't want to get too specific, too personal. We will do that in the future, but I love to interact and engage if you feel so inclined. I also do personal readings. I have a variety of health and wellness tools that I offer. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, or if you're interested in that realignment of self, like I was talking about, your mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we are aligned in self, when we're grounded in self, when we have that level of awareness, understanding of our wants, our needs, that's really where we're able to manifest our best life. And I would love to help support that in whatever way, always. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly. Help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. All right, so the energy does feel a little bit slow this morning. And this kind of goes back to like what I was just saying about Ayurveda. When we're kind of in those spaces, like sometimes our body, our mind, our soul is just telling us to slow down, right? And it's good to take rest. It's good to move a little bit slower, right? You don't put as many things on your plate. You don't have to pick up the phone, connect with whatever, you can do a little scrolling. That's always fun, right? Or read a good book, or, just kind of relax. Give your mind some space to breathe is what I'm hearing. So this is hilarious, the Psalm book. So rejoicing in faith. This is our overarching energy for today, or whenever you find this reading. I love Maharishi Mahesh has this saying. He is one of the gurus behind Ayurveda. I mean, Ayurveda has been around for like thousands of years, but he re-enlivened it in the modern world. So he has this saying, and it's, you can only light a light with light. And I love it because it reminds us that, yeah, it's great to like figure out our problems or, kind of spend time processing through things that are happening. But if we stay in that space too long, or, sometimes there aren't really clear-cut answers. Sometimes there aren't definitive solutions. And sometimes we do just have to put our mind on, higher things, whatever that might be. It doesn't have to be the Psalms or the Bible. It can be whatever, right? Like whatever you find inspirational, wherever you kind of just find that upliftment of spirit. Like I said, whether it is reading something, whether it's just connecting with yourself, meditating, spending quiet time, or giving yourself the space to process through, There is this component of Ayurveda called the behavioral rasayanas, and those are actions that we can take in our daily living that kind of keep us aligned with light, so to speak. What do I mean by light? Just like higher vibrational things that make us feel good, things that like are actually honoring to our spirit, not this stuff that's sucking us dry, that's trying to keep us disconnected from self. A lot of what we've been experiencing in the astrology lately is change and forcing us to reconnect with who we are, making sure that we're getting really clear on what we think, on what we feel about people, about dynamics, about situations, how we want to move forward, how we want to approach life with a certain amount of integrity that actually like speaks to us, right? Like speaks to your heart, you specifically. It doesn't have to be everyone else's vibe. It's cultivating your own strength, your own power. And again, the way that we do that, yes, I mean, there is an action component, but it is through rest. Like we have to and I'm thinking about this specifically because I think in modern day, there's just so much, right? So much going on at all times, lots of activity, lots of distractions. There's so many ways that we can distract from our power, right? That we can kind of keep ourselves stuck in these certain loops or cycles is what I'm hearing. And that's kind of what's playing out right now in the astrology. Through the week, we don't have a lot of crazy transits going on. Like I said, I feel like the universe is giving us space to celebrate, to bring in the new year, to enjoy what we have built. Again, kind of back to that, like, not everything has to be fixated and focused on the hardship. But I do think, I mean, it does seem to me when I'm looking at this overarching energy, your strength is very important right now. There is some reevaluation that I see that's happening, and perhaps it is surrounded by, just again, that point of who and what you're collaborating with, where you are putting your time and energy. It does feel like there's some level of processing that has to be done because we're ending this reading, this time, however long this is applicable to you, with the axe. And that is about division, lessening the burden. So weighing out these pros and cons so you can better assess, and this has, as I'm saying this, hopefully it's not too redundant of a theme, but this has definitely been a huge theme in the collective. And I feel like there's a lot of back and forth, right? Like, we do a little bit of refining, and then we kind of see where we're at, what we have to work with, etc. Live a little bit of life, and then some more stuff pops up again that we have to again refine. It's hard because we're not, like, partnerships are in focus, but they're also in our blocked energy right now. And I feel like this is heavily tied to Chiron, the wound healer in Mars. Mars is the energy of ourself, right? Like how we see ourselves, how we want to present this level of strength, that persona. And Chiron is really asking us to heal aspects of ourselves, like things that, might be a little bit humbling to look at. It's tensely aspected to Jupiter right now, which is in retrograde in Cancer. So the things that we're like a little bit too comfortable in, the things that we don't really want to like look at too hard, etc., those can be a detriment. Those can be a downfall. But that kind of goes back to where I'm seeing this processing. This feels like a processing energy to me. It's the Nest of Wasp. It is about teamwork and order. There is some type of order, structure, discipline that has to be brought into your life. We're on the cusp of New Year's. New Year's resolutions are always really popular. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a resolution, but maybe you're just saying, like, I want to commit to doing this a little bit better in my life, you know? And to me, it feels like with this Psalm book, this is changes that we know need to be made on whatever level this is for you, you know? Yeah, I think, well, and Ayurveda definitely speaks to this, like, our mind definitely affects our physiology, right? So if we're scattered, if we're riddled with anxiety, fears, worst case scenario, or, you know, getting caught up in people's drama, etc., it's really hard for us to feel like happy, well, and good in self. And I feel like that's kind of where this separation is happening for you this week during this time of, maybe you can't control your environment. It's hard to control our anxiety, especially through like mental processing. It's great to understand ourselves. But that's where I really feel like Ayurveda or any type meditation, yoga, anything that kind of aligns your left, right hemisphere in the brain, etc. Those are the things that actually are powerful and providing this strong foundation, providing the strength that you need to kind of rework what you need to rework. Because this is a 13, and 1 and 3 talk a lot about, like, yes, it's teamwork. Yes, it's how we're showing up in dynamics, but it's also how we're showing up for ourselves first. And we all know that principle, right? Like you got to put your mask on, your life-saving mask, before you help someone else. Because if you're trying to help someone else and then you pass out, well, what good? Sorry, not to be so blunt. But that's kind of this, like, I'm feeling with this partnership in our blocked energy, we can't rely as much on people, on relationships. We have to find that strength and that determination within self. And that can be really, really hard to do in and of itself. There is that principle, teamwork makes the dream work, especially if we are trying to change some habits in our world of health and well-being. It's like way easier to collaborate, to have people that can hold us accountable, And I do feel like there is some of that, but ultimately the strength that you're building, ultimately what you're doing for yourself is for you first. And even Ayurveda talks a lot about that, about how like when you invest in yourselves, you're actually investing in other people inadvertently, right? Because you're not going to be as emotional, triggered, wound up, upset. You're going to be more patient, kind, empathetic, understanding, etc. And interesting. So we have the Adalita of fire. This is talking, Cayenne, like you might be kind of like chomping at the bit over something, ready to go. So a lot of this, it makes sense now why it's coming out this way. It might be kind of hard to practice. It might be kind of hard to practice your sense of balance, your sense of stability. Taking time for yourself. I don't know. There's something that you're like resisting a little bit. Try not to get too stuck in your pride, ego, in your head, so to speak. That kind of goes back to that Sun, Mars, and Venus transit that I was talking about, tensely aspected to Saturn, Neptune, and the moon. And it's basically, again, where like our ego, our pride, our comfortability can get the best of us. Where we might be buying into this belief that we're working really hard on something, but it's not necessarily how we have to be approaching it. I feel like there is something you're resisting, but there's a reason you're resisting it. Or that's kind of how your energy comes through. You're not trying to participate in something. You don't want to see something manifest. You have people, situations, dynamics around you that are kind of like trying to figure out what options, what's next, what's the next approach. Because again, there's resistance, right? However this plays out in your health and wellness, whether you're resistant to like maybe looking at it from a new perspective. And I don't necessarily get a bad vibe. You might not feel really like confident in what you're doing. And that goes back to this Panther where we have to make sure that you're not just like going after something full steam ahead. That's what I'm hearing. Like that practice of, putting a little bit of investment into whatever this is, whatever you're going after, whatever you're chasing after, but then making sure that you're taking time to rest. Because we have Ace of Arrows, Ace of Swords in the blocked energy for you. Yarrow is a wound healer. It does kind of put us down, so to speak. It makes us stay in place. Maybe not all hope is lost. Like there are some people, situations that you can use that will benefit you. Again, maybe that's like the missing piece, like something that you might not be seeing. I feel like whomever, whatever you're dealing with, they are trying to communicate in a certain way, or they're becoming very aware of what the dynamics are and how they need to communicate. You're keeping things simple, low key. It's weird because it's like both energies. In part, like you're full steam. I mean, I think it's like an idea. That's what I'm seeing, right? Like you kind of know how you want something to look. And that's where you're just like throwing all your eggs in one basket. But it also says there's more to be uncovered here. And I feel like that kind of goes back to this integrity. Like sometimes we have to do things because it's the right thing to do, if that makes sense, right? We can think, feel a certain way and about a situation, a dynamic. But, you know, like I said, it's never put yourself in something toxic. I'm a huge proponent of that. What I'm hearing is it's like that idea of like the holidays, right? Like sometimes we spend it with people that we really like, we're super excited to see, celebrate with, etc. And then sometimes there's those people that we're just like dreading, you know? But we do it, we put up with it because it's, you know, what it's family, it's friends, it's community, it's, you know, just extending the olive branch, being the better person, not having to succumb to the BS, right? And that's really what this like Psalm book reminds me of, is that yes, like you can have your opinions, you can have your perspective, but there's still the way to do it with love. And if anything, that's kind of like helping your agenda even more, right? Because justice really talks about how we're able to have that diplomatic bird's eye perspective. We can see the whole of the situation. And we're not so trapped up in me versus them, or, you know, whatever's kind of keeping us in this, you know, it's not a bad energy. It's an energy of like, I'm going to grab the bull by the horns and make something happen, which on some level is needed for you. But we want to make sure that we're not moving too quickly. Capricorn energy reminds us there is work cut out for us. And actually, we're going to be way more successful when we're able to tap into what our intuition is saying, right? That Neptune and the moon in conjunction with Saturn, when we can tap into that, when we can understand, like, maybe, you know, we are being told to kind of slow your roll. Maybe there is something here for you that will make things a little bit easier to navigate. So you're not like shooting yourself in the foot. 10 of fire, that's the 10 of wands, burden, stress, overwhelm. Not putting yourself in a bad situation, especially when it comes to health and well-being. And we do this so much in the West, where it's like, you know, you haven't worked out or taken care of yourself in forever. And then it's like, well, I'm going to do, you know, go to the gym every day for 5 hours and not eat anything bad. You know, like these extremes is what I'm getting at. And that's where the extreme can really end up being a stress. It can end up being a burden. Things are going to happen. There is certain evolution happening here underneath the surface, but it does feel like it's moving a little bit slower. And there is this fine balance in the collective right now where we have to make sure that we're not moving too slow, that we are actively participating in what's going on for us, but we're not like going too fast where we're making like really stupid decisions. And that's what the Knight of Wands, he can be a little bit arrogant. He can be a little bit self-centered, not really thinking things through 100%, i.e. why clarity, truth, understanding is in the blocked energy. But the nice thing about cannabis as our justice card is it slows things down, right? It does make us move a little bit more cautiously, consciously. there's communication. There's something that wants to be brought to you. It's not coming quite yet because it looks like a lot of what you're spending your time doing right now is really that investment in self, you know? Yes, enjoy your relationships, enjoy who and what is around you. But make sure that you're putting yourself first. It's, you know, as much as maybe New Year's resolutions can be a little bit cheesy or whatever, like maybe we make them and then stop them quite soon after the new year. I think it's always good. It's always good to just do some reflection. It's always good to kind of just make some mental notes of where we want to be, what we want to bring more of in our life, you know? We have a new moon or a full moon in Cancer right after the new year. So, and Cancer is such a nice, warm, loving energy. Jupiter is in Cancer right now. It's in retrograde, which is not meh, you know. We got to be mindful that we're not getting too lazy, too comfortable. That goes back to that, like, making sure that we're putting in intentional effort. But again, this is investment in self. You don't have to be super selfish per se with your energy, because there are people around, there are people, situations that want to connect with you, that want to be a part of whatever you're doing. And that's part of where you have to like get really clear in self so that these boundaries don't become fuzzy. There might be some of that this week or, you know, during this time for you. And that kind of goes back to that where we're going back to the drawing board, doing a little bit more refining. And again, I don't know why I keep saying this, but it's important, making sure that you're putting self first. Mugwort. I love mugwort. It's a really great tea for, especially if you want to dream. I know that sounds funny, but it really kind of opens up those higher chakras if you're into astral projection or, you know, kind of any type of dream work. It is ruled by Venus, which is also just that value of really loving self, right? Like making sure that we are taking time. You know, again, when we invest in the beauty of ourselves, then we're actually investing in the beauty of our life around us. And I'm not just saying, you know, what you look like. It's just all aspects. When we beautify our home, our environment, the relationships that are closest to us. It's a very powerful female herb as well. It can be used for any type of cycles. And we talked about that, right? Just recognizing how life does move in cycles. There is the ebb and flow. And it's really good for anxiety and depression. So that's kind of come up for us a little bit. Ayurveda looks at our mental, our emotional, like I said, as directly impacting our physical, specifically our hormones, ironically or not, as we're talking about, you know, and this can be female, male, reproductive system. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But recognizing that, like, our thoughts are things, right? And yes, it takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of awareness to be present, to not think those things. Or it doesn't even have to be, we don't have to think them. It's that we don't have to attach onto them. You know, sometimes we need to just like give our mental, emotional a break. And that's where mugwort can be incredibly calming for the nervous system. Plantain is coming up again. Did plantain come up? Oh no, it was yarrow. Okay. It's the soldier's herb. This is also a really good wound healer for any types of skin issues, burns. It's really good for the respiratory system as well, which is great for this time of year. I should probably take some of that. I've been doing a lot of Triphala. In Ayurveda, Triphala is very balancing to the overall. It's cleansing, it's detoxifying. It's the most potent form. It has the most potent form of vitamin C. So again, really just like making sure that you're taking care of your immunity. Lots of tea. St. John's wort, I love this. This is a really good herb, again, for depression, for the mental, emotional, right? And it helps calm, it helps promote grounding, promote strength, like we saw with the Panther. So again, that's like a huge theme for you this week, or however long this is applicable. Making sure that you're like, you know, enjoying yourself, that you are participating in celebration where you want to, but that you're not overdoing it, right? That you're really tuning in to what you want, because I've talked a lot about this on the channel. As we move into the new year, we are kind of bringing in some loose ends, unfortunately. It's nice to have things wrapped up in their neat, tidy packages, but unfortunately, there are some things that are just kind of following us into the new year. And so that's where this component of really strengthening ourselves becomes so important, so valuable, right? Investing in you, making sure that you're not feeling, I mean, there's not a lot of like wonky energy right now, in my opinion. The transits, like I said, are pretty quiet. I'll definitely go live this week with a weekly forecast and get into all of the astrology, etc. But topically, what I'm seeing, next month we'll be back up and running with all the craziness. So until then, enjoy what you can enjoy. Take rest where you need it. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Thank you so much for your time, energy, always, your support to the channel, your patience with me. It blesses my heart. I'm sending all the love, all the blessings to you. Stay tuned for readings to come, and happy holidays, happy new year. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again. Have a great day.